Okay, so working on stuff in the shop today. I got something in the mail today, and this holds very special in my little heart. It's something I use all the time. I have one other one of these, and I cannot say enough about them. Everybody should have one of these, and I'm talking about the little jump packs. We just got a new one in. This one is from Tacklife. Could not be more thrilled. Out of every tool I have here, these jump packs get used the most no matter what. We're constantly using these. You cannot beat them. So how these work, let me get the tripod. How about that? Hold on. Okay, so there we got you set up. So these things are so compact. You can see how small it is. And this is a little higher amp hour. These are 16,500 amp hour. And I just can't say enough about it. So we have two USB ports. We have the flashlight, strobe, all that stuff. Then we have a output. The output uses, let's see here. Output uses this guy. And what I found with these, when you're testing stuff, you could actually put a cigarette lighter male plug-in in here and have two wires coming out, and you can actually use this to test stuff. That works out pretty good. Then we have our mini USB or Android phone charger that plugs right into that. You could also plug your Apple Lightning charger right into that too. This one charges off AC power, charges off DC power, and I'll give you another instance. If you're on an airplane and you want to charge your phone or you want to charge a laptop, you can charge it off of this, and that works really good for that. Now, this has this style where it has a little box that plugs in and goes right up close to this. This isn't my preferred style, but this is what they're all going to. I don't know if you can even buy the old style anymore. Plugs in like that, and then if it trips, then you got to push that little button. A lot of guys don't like that. On these, you have to have a pen or a pencil to push it. But like I said, they're all going to this. And you'll see a lot of guys come in here and they'll actually cut. Don't tell them I told you this. Or cut this off and they'll hot wire it directly in, so you don't even have this box at all. So, in my experience with jumping cars with these things, and this one actually came almost fully pre-charged, is this will stay on for about 30 seconds. My other one that I've had for about a year now, like I said, I removed this box, and that allowed me to drive a car off of this box. So let's say the alternator's bad, right? I need to drive the car on the trailer or a very short distance. I could plug it in, use this as an actual battery for the car. But you know, these things are the absolute best, no question. And I'm not just saying that. I'm no longer doing reviews on any kind of lights, any kind of knick-knack stuff. Stuff like this, yes. Scanners, stuff that I could actually use on the channel, and I know it works, and I can recommend to you guys, yes, it works. That's the kind of stuff I'm doing. No more of this small stuff. I turned so much stuff down. Electronics like this, cleaning products, tools, stuff like that we'll still do. And it's my job to give you guys my honest opinion of it. I've used this 2 times so far. No issue. No issue at all. And it seems like it holds up very well in the battery. Holds up a little better than an Audu one. So, you know, it is what it is. But I just thought I'd share this with you guys. The link will be in the description for this, to Tacklife, and to their website. So that's it. Okay, so we're finally doing the starter on the E90. Been trying to get some of this crap out of the shop. We still have crap over the place. We just kind of shifted it all that way. And gotta get this car done. I need to get our silver E46 done too. I have control arm bushings and wheel bearings, front wheel bearings. Put on it. I'm going to do some of our trash and our ladder out just to get this car in. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. I don't know if I'm just going to drive that car or what I'm going to do with it just exactly. I'm not sure yet. Not sure. Never sure. But we're going to do with this E90 right now. Unhook the battery. Basically what we're going to have to do is we're going to pull the cowling out. We're going to pull the vanity cover off. We're going to pull the intake manifold off, the air box out, unbolt the power steering reservoir, take the throttle body off, take the induction pipe off, take all the bolts holding the manifold to the car off, take all the hoses off the manifold, lift it out, replace the starter, and so on. Okay, so I hope it's enough light. It seems like no matter what we do, it's not ever enough. Make sure you're in the shot here. Alright, so we're going to pull this cowl out first. Pull that off first. There's little snaps in the back. These lids come off the sides. Now this is missing all the bolts too, so we have a 10 on this side, a 10 on that side. Let me see here. We have T20s. Supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4 up there. That's going to let us lift the actual lid itself off. And then after that, we should be able to snap the wiring harness and it should pretty much come out. So in all this moving, I misplaced my magnetic holder. So we have our Folgers holder, just something to throw all the bolts in and keep them rounded up. Now if you're unsure about this, you've never done anything on this car before, keep them all separated. Get a piece of cardboard. Go ahead and draw an outline wherever everything goes. Stick it in there. That's the best way to do it. Unfortunately for me, I don't have to do that because I already know what's happening. Let's go ahead and set this. We're going to pull our filter out. We'll put that on our workbench over there. And then we go and lose these Torx sockets. Well, hopefully grab the right one. Okay, 10 right there. And I believe these are originally supposed to be Torx, but like I said, all this crap is missing. When we got the car in. Well, I had a nut on it, but I dropped it. It's alright. Okay, so next up, we're going to go ahead and pull out. I already had that unsnapped, that's alright. We're going to plug our sensors up here. We'll pull it out of the holder. Just like that. Lay that back. This one's a half turn. That all comes out. Clip fell off of that too. And that should let you pull the whole tray out. And this has some rainwater, so let's put this out here. Okay, and that's going to let you expose all this. Now, if your car is equipped with the support bars, you need to pull those out. Those are big Torx. There's one here, one in the middle. You got to loosen that one, not take it out. And this is going to slip out. Let's get that right now. Okay, so we're going to hit this one with a E14 socket. Alright, we're good. And then I don't have an E socket big enough for the back one. We're going to use a 14 6-point and do the same thing. There we are. That thing is a beast, isn't it? The only drawback of having an impact that big is that it's really heavy. ever so carefully. That'll slip out just like that. We'll put that off to the side on our workbench. But there's 2 bolts right here. We'll knock those out. And there's going to be more T20s up here in the front. If you could even see, you can see. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and separate this out of here. Discard of that. We're going to unplug. We're going to do a little different position here. Alright, so move it, turn it back on linear. Hope we'll be able to see a little bit more of this stuff. I'm going to have to move this out of the way. Now down here there's a little clip for the mass airflow. And we're just going to push the tab up, or try to. And once we push the tab up, it should unclip. There we are. And then let's go ahead and disable. There we are. And this one's actually missing the clamp off of it. So let's get just a big screwdriver and try to work that off of there. There we are. There's our air box. And you can see right here is a clip we had to pry up. We just got right there with a small screwdriver, lifted up a little bit. That allowed us to pull the plug out. Not too much. If you pry up too much on it, you're going to shatter it. And there's that guy, and that has both filters. There's a pre-charge and a standard filter in there. Sit over there to the side. We're going to put you guys back over here to the front. Maybe a little bit of that action there. Okay. Go ahead and bang out those, and we're going to take the washer and stuff off of that. Because if you don't, you'll lose it. And then we're going to lift that out of the way. I'll go ahead and squeeze that, remove that. And then we're just going to slip this over here. Well, put that over there. We drop one of our rubbers? I think we did. That's alright, we'll get it here in a second. And then straight screwdriver, we're going to go ahead and pull off this guy here. Let's go and unplug that. And right here you have a clamp you just lift up and that comes off of there like so. And we're just going to kind of shuffle all of the back. Let's pull that clamp off. We'll take the hose out. There we are. And that has, that's actually for noise. What the hell? That broke. Come on. Something's going on. Something's going on with there's a gap in there. I don't know if that's leaking air or not. I don't know. There's no... anyway, that knocks the noise down, right? The intake noise when you're driving, so whenever you floor it, it's kind of a damper for that. That might be leaking. We're going to have to check into that. Because that's in between the mass airflow and the engine. So if that leaks, you're going to get all kinds of weird stuff going on. And then I'm going to do the plug on the throttle body. You're supposed to just be able to squeeze that and push that off of there, but it's so There we go. It's just really stuck on there. Probably never been off. Okay. So, I would say next up, yeah, somebody's been here messing around with stuff because that wasn't in the right spot. So let's go and pull the vanity cover off. Now the vanity cover usually has 2 bolts here and it has one towards the back, but the one towards the back, this one has it up here. I think there's actually another one down there. This one has it broke, so it's just sitting on there. Yeah. There's 2 in the back, one right there and one right there. Usually that one's broken, but this one actually isn't. And then 2 in the front. Never bolt that back in. Never bolt the back bolts back in on these cars until you know you're done working on it, because if you don't put the 2 back in, you can still slip that out and deal with this stuff with the cowling in. And so let's see here. We got it's gonna be 13s to pull that off. Gonna unplug these O2 sensors. They just squeeze and come out just like this. Same right there. That gives you this. We're just going to stick those down in there for right now, kind of out of the way. Let's go and unplug the oil sensor, just because that'll be in the way. And on this engine, the fuel injectors are going to stay with the engine. They are not directly connected to the intake manifold like most engines are. And the fuel line, there's a little bolt back here you can take out, but I think it's just a push clip. I don't know, we'll just go ahead and pull the bolt, it'll be easier. That's a 20, but it's at a weird angle. Okay, so remove the bolt for the fuel line. We might take the fuel line off, probably are. Wait to the very end to do it. That's going to stink in here. It's a pretty airtight shop. So we have, down the throttle body here, we have 4 10s on it. And a lot of these are very similar to the older M54 cars. Everything just kind of slightly different as far as taking this intake off. It's actually easier on this car than it is the older stuff. Okay. We're going to pull this elbow off. Usually you don't have to pull that off, but they had the damn clamp right in the way of the bolt. So I remember now this has had to start it on once. That's why we're doing it again. And we pulled that off. Use a 6mm socket, pull that clamp off. We took the 4 10s out. We should be free just like that. And make sure your gasket's good. This one is nice and soft. And make sure it's stuck in there well. We'll spread that out just a little bit before we reinstall that. Let's put this up out of the way. We have, let me see here, we got 2 bolts in the bottom. Have the hard pipes and then all the bolts holding to the engine. Okay, so here's how it's going to go. We're going to use our impact. Let me get the right socket. And we have a magnet on a stick. And for the ones we can't reach, we might be able to reach all these. We're going to hold that up there so when we take it out, the magnet grabs the nut and it don't fall in there. For us, it doesn't matter. We have other stuff that's laying around. And these are actually actually 11s instead of 13s. I was wrong. Okay, and then here, this one we can't reach, so we're just going to do this. There we are. Now it grabs it like that. Going down the line. You probably wouldn't have to have this on this car, but all the older stuff, you have to have it. I would say somebody put that one in a little bit tighter than what it should have been. Well, also another good reason to have that Well, let's fish that out of there. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so we're just going to pull the rest of the bolts out of the top. Nothing to see there. Now there's two bolts, and they look like this. They're actually T27s. They're real little, and they hold this wiring harness down here to the intake. There's one on each side. They're kind of hard to get out. We'll show you more whenever I take the intake out on exactly how those go in. But they're not too difficult. On this one, it's using T27, a 1/4" drive ratchet with an extension, and then I got in there up underneath it like this and just turned them out. It wasn't really too difficult. I did drop one of my torque sockets down there, but we'll get that here in just 1 second. And let me see here. So we have a bracket holding this hot wire in. We're just going to push down on that. Get out of there. All right. So there's that. And these things here, I took this one out. You just slide this over and pull it down, and they'll stay out like that. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and push our oxygen sensor cables down. Like so. We're getting pretty loose here. I think we're pretty much done, except for this big hard air tube. Now, if I remember right, we can take it off the back of the valve cover, and it'll come out all in one piece. If you don't do that, you have 3 different ports, 2 or 3 different ports up here. So let's go ahead and, let's go ahead and pull out the back of the valve cover. I'll show you how to do that. And if this is really hard and brittle, you're not going to be able to get this off of there without breaking it. There's 2 squeeze tabs, just like the older cars. You squeeze them and pull it out, just like so. And there's that. So let's get back over here and see if we can lift this damn thing out of here. I'm sure there's going to be something else, but for the most part, we're getting pretty close. All right, we don't need this. We're just going to shuffle all this stuff to the rear. Just like so. And we should be able to slip it over the fuel line. Maybe. Let's go and unplug the heater. Let me get a little screwdriver here. And they got this stupid PVC heater which catches on fire. It has a recall on it right now. There we are. Slip all this BS back out of the way. Like so. And we're going to have to go ahead and pull just no way to show you guys some of this till I get this out of here. Alright, so we're pretty much loose here. Go and fish this thing out the rest of the way. And is there one more bolt in the bottom of the fuel line? Nope. There's a little hole there just popped out. So be careful to guard this guy. And this is how we look here. We have the PVC heater, which is right here. That's part of the recall right now. I probably need to call those dumbasses at the dealer and see what they're doing for that. I don't really want to wait on them, and that's what it's going to be, a waiting situation. But we'll call them and see. They probably want you to bring the car in, even though I have it off right here. There is that plug. You lift up the little tab with the little screwdriver, pull it off. Here is the PVC hose. So if you don't take it off at the back of the valve cover, you got to take this one off and this one off. And then when you flip it around here, there's a little plug right next to the throttle body you got to take off too. And on the bottom, you can see the 2 holes that hold the wiring harness down there that have those T27s in it. So overall, it's not really that difficult of an intake manifold to take off. If you've never done it or never had any experience with these engines, it probably actually is. Okay, so here we are. You can see our 11mm socket laying right there, right in front of the starter. And we have a T27
somewhere down there. We'll have to get our magnet out and try to get it. Didn't fall all the way through the car. That should be easy enough though. On the starter, we have a squeeze plug right here that unplugs, just like so. We're gonna have to take this 13 off, and we have some Torx bolts back here. Have one right there and one right there. That one's facing backwards. It's a pretty tight spot. Look to be I don't know, T14, E14 sockets, something of that arrangement. There's supposed to be aluminum bolts. This one actually does not have blue heads on it, so they probably replace those to a different grade whenever they replace the starter. So let's go ahead and pull those bolts out, pull this bolt off the wire, and see what the situation is with this starter.
Okay, so we just pulled the starter out. It does have new bolts in it. These bolts maybe were finger tight. In fact, the back one, the big one, I didn't use a ratchet to take it off. I just put the socket on it, used my fingers, and just turned it right out. So we can reuse these because they're not squished. They are aluminum. And we figured out what the problem with the starter is. Just like I told you guys all along, they sell these starters on eBay. Actually, O'Reilly sells them too. And these are Bosch, kind of. And if you read right there, real little fine print, it says premium remanufactured. You can see that or not. Maybe. So what that is a Bosch starter with Chinese rebuild kit. Now, the starter we have right here is remanufactured, but with actual good parts. And I'll put a link in the description for this starter. You know, I don't know. This one should work fine. The reviews are great on Amazon. I actually talked to the manufacturer of these and said, yes, we do not use the China kits, and we should be good. They'll market these. These are $150 a starter, $120 to $150. I see it all the time. And they charge more for the Bosch sticker that's on it. It's rebuilt OEM starter. In your mind, immediately you think that's better. That's not better. You couldn't get any worse than that, actually. You're actually better off with just the aftermarket starter with decent parts in it. And so yeah, this was, it varies in price, 40 to 60 bucks for one of these. And that is what the problem is with this car. And what it was doing, the car would do fine until you drove it for a long distance. The starter just wouldn't work once it got hot, and it would drag. You let the car sit and cool off for a long time, and it'd start right up. It's something with the armature and the brushes. The tolerances aren't right. They were explaining this to me on the phone, these other guys, and when it heats up, it swells up and it seizes, and that's what the problem is. So let's go ahead and reinstall. Reinstall shouldn't be too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt the starter back on, and we'll see if that fixed the problem. Okay, so give you a little adjustment here. There we are. Now, to make this a good job and not a horrifying job, don't forget to plug in the hose on the back of the valve cover. If you forget to do that, you're going to be very, very disappointed, because you're going to take all that cowling back out to do that. You can't really reach out with the cowling in it. Don't forget to plug in your PVC heater, the little plug. There's also the little hose by the throttle body right there. Don't forget to plug that back in. And that's really the only three things that are really hard to reach to put back in. So we're just going to reverse what we did. We'll put all the intake manifold bolts back in. We'll clip everything back in the holder. Put the throttle body back on. We'll be right back. Okay, so before we get too crazy here, we just put the bolts back in. We don't have anything really difficult put back on yet. Before we put those bolts in the wiring harness, before we put the throttle body back on, let's go bump the starter and make sure we're going to start first, right? Well, at least get that far with it. You always got to check and make sure. Otherwise, we're going to do the job twice. You put it all back together. So let's let me find the key here. Let's go do it. I've already hooked the battery back up too. Okay, this mic is okay. I turned it off as soon as it started cranking. Okay, so we put all that crap back together. We took the airbox in half. We're gonna peel this out and see how that looks. That's not too bad. It's not super good. I mean, it's okay. We'll probably just tap on a little bit, knock the leads out of the box. And then here's that pre-charge filter I was telling you guys about in past videos. And they're selling these now to where you get both filters in a kit. I think you gotta, to get this one out, I think you have to break that out or something. I have to look it up. I don't remember anymore. But if you do a cold air intake, that bypasses all that stuff and gives you a lot of room down here. So, yeah. So we're gonna knock that out. We'll put it back together. I think we're about done. There's two things still missing. I have to get around the car and look. My T27 Torx bit and the other thing for the airbox. And it fell down in the tray. So, I don't know. We'll work on that here in a second. We'll put all this crap back together. Okay. So after getting the other bushing back out of the car itself, for the airbox, end up getting my socket out also. And the socket was down in the metal skid plate. Snug those up. That's good. Okay. So now everything's back together. We got our hose here plugged in. Power steering pump reservoir's back on. Everything's on except for the cowling. So I guess what we'll do here, maybe we'll start it just a couple times and make sure we're good. Once we put the cowling back on, it becomes difficult to get everything off of there, or to work on it again. So let's go and do that right now. Okay, it seems to function correctly. Let's put the cowling back on. We need to check the fluids, check the air in the tires. This thing's been sitting for about a month, not being driven. And then only time will tell if we're good, but I think we're going to be okay on this one.